Good evening and welcome to Opportune TV Comprehensive News. I'm Mariam Oke. First, the headlines. UN condemns massacre, calls for justice. Federal government disburses 8.6 billion naira to over 148,000 pensioners across 4 sectors. OpenAI lands $200 million military contract for AI deployment. And finally, Super Eagles still in contention for 2026 World Cup, says Deco. Now the news in details. The United Nations has strongly condemned the deadly attacks on Yellowwater Village in Benue State, where dozens of civilians, including women and children, were killed in their sleep. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, through his deputy spokesperson, Farhan Haq, expressed deep concern over the rising violence and called for the swift apprehension and prosecution of those responsible. The attacks, which occurred over the weekend, left scores dead and many residents displaced, further escalating the humanitarian crisis in the region. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a statement, denounced the killings and called on traditional rulers, community leaders, and residents to embrace peace and work towards reconciliation. However, the president is expected the state on Wednesday as part of a renewed federal intervention to restore calm and initiate dialogue among affected communities. The federal government has disbursed 8.6 billion naira in pension arrears to 148,625 retirees under the Defined Benefit Scheme. The payment, announced by the Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate (PTAD), covers outstanding balances for the 32,000 naira pension increase approved by President Tinubu earlier this year. According to a statement by PTAD's head of corporate communications, Olugbenga Ajayi, disbursements affect 5.7 billion naira to 59,342 retirees in the parastatals pensions department, 2.3 billion naira to 71,084 civil service pensioners, 310 million naira to 9,579,000 police pensioners, and 276 million naira to 8,620 pensioners from the Customs, Immigration and Prisons, now Correctional Service Department. The Directorate says it remains committed to timely and transparent pension administration for all qualified beneficiaries under the scheme. Moving forward, a sharp divide has emerged between the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, and a conference of speakers of the state houses of assembly over the proposal to introduce state police across Nigeria. Speaking during a constitutional review dialogue themed Nigeria's Peace and Security, the Constitutional Imperative, hosted by the House of Representatives Committee in partnership with the Office of the National Security Advisor, the IGP maintained his stance that adequate funding and reforms within the existing Nigeria police force would be more effective than establishing independent state forces. He cited constitutional provisions, particularly sections 214 and 215 of the 1999 Constitution, which empowered the President to appoint the Inspector General and vest security responsibilities in a centralized force. However, the chairman of the Conference of Speakers, Debo Ogundoyin, advocates for a multi-layered policing system that allows states to respond more directly to local security challenges. Finally, from this local story lineup, we have tensions arising in Delta State as youth leaders from the Niger Delta region demand the immediate suspension of the ongoing ward delineation exercise by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Warri. The group, under the aegis of the Isoko Political Youth Leaders of Thought, raised concerns that the process could destabilize the fragile peace among the three dominant ethnic groups in the region, the Ishekiri, Ijaw, and Urobo. Chairman of the group, Daniel Omoraro, speaking in Asaba, accused INEC of undermining the existing political balance and warned that the unrest may result in further shutdowns of oil installations. The group also appealed to President Bola Tinubu to intervene promptly to avert a possible crisis in the oil-rich region. Now I hand you over to Mary Agobo for our business stories. Please stay tuned.
Thank you, Miriam. This is the business news. The Naira continues its upward trajectory, appreciating against the US dollar across both the official and parallel markets, a sign of growing stability in Nigeria's foreign exchange landscape. On the parallel market, the local currency strengthened to 1,585 naira per dollar, up from 1,590 naira per dollar recorded over the weekend. Similarly, on the Nigerian Foreign Exchange Market, NFEM, the naira traded at 1,543 naira per dollar, gaining 11 naira from last Friday's rate of 1,554 naira. Latest figures from the Central Bank of Nigeria indicate a narrowing gap between the two exchange rates, now at 26 naira compared to 36 naira the previous week. Analysts attribute this convergence to improved dollar supply and growing investor confidence, suggesting cautious optimism in the FX market. In another development, First City Monument Bank Group, FCMB PLC, has moved to reassure investors following new Central Bank of Nigeria directives that restrict dividend payments for banks with unresolved forbearance loans or regulatory breaches. In a statement, FCMB disclosed that it has reduced its forbearance-linked loan exposure by over 60% from 538.8 billion naira in September 2024 to 207.6 billion naira as of May 31st, 2025. The loans tied to 3 entities and 2 key obligors remain classified under Stage 2 in line with IFRS 9 with adequate provisioning maintained. The group forecasts a temporary spike in Stage 3 non-performing loans projected to peak at 11.5% before falling below 10% by the end of the year, supported by ongoing recovery efforts and new loan growth. Additionally, FCMB is converting a 23.1 billion naira loan to equity, a strategic move expected to strengthen its capital base to approximately 267 billion naira. The bank confirms it has received approval from the CBN for capital verification and is actively pursuing other necessary regulatory clearances. Over to you, Miriam.
Thank you, Mary Agobo, for that comprehensive business stories. Moving forward, stories from the foreign scene. In a landmark development, the United States Department of Defense has awarded OpenAI a $200 million contract to deploy generative artificial intelligence in military operations. According to Pentagon, the contract will support the development of advanced AI tools to enhance cybersecurity, optimize healthcare delivery for service members, and bolster strategic decision-making across military departments. OpenAI confirmed that the partnership, its first with a government, falls under a new initiative to demonstrate how AI can responsibly support public institutions. The company also stressed that all military applications will comply with its internal ethical usage policies, ensuring that AI is deployed transparently and for strictly defined mission. And again, I hand you over to Lydia Ajayi for the sports updates and entertainment stories. Please stay tuned.
That was fantastic, Mariam. From the world of sports, Chairman National Sports Commission Shehu Diko has expressed optimism that the Super Eagles still stand a chance of qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the USA, Canada and Mexico if FIFA deducts points from South Africa for breaching player eligibility rules. After 6 rounds of matches in the CAF qualifiers, Nigeria currently sits fourth in Group C with 7 points, 6 points behind group leaders South Africa, who have 13. However, hope remains for Nigeria as South Africa may be docked 3 points following allegations they fielded an ineligible player, Teboho Mokona, during their 2-0 win over Lesotho in March. Mokona was reportedly meant to serve a suspension after accumulating 2 yellow cards earlier in the qualifying series. Diko called on Nigerians to stay hopeful and continue to support the team as the situation unfolds. On entertainment, Nigerian music star Sarah Oyinkansola Aderigbigbe, popularly known as Ayra Starr, has spoken out against what she described as relentless cyberbullying targeted at her on social media platforms. Taking to her official X account, the award-winning singer expressed frustration over the trend, saying online trolls appear committed to dragging an image without cause. Ayra Starr pleaded with critics to focus their energy on more important issues and allow her the space to express herself freely. She further reveals she feels like a scapegoat for hate and negativity in the online community, despite her efforts to maintain peace and positivity. Mariam, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Lydia Ajayi. And that ends our comprehensive news stories on Opportune TV. Join us tomorrow at 12 noon for our news highlight. And of course, same time, same station, Opportune TV. Please do well to follow us on all social media platforms and download the Ninja TV app to view us from across the country and in fact outside Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for loving Opportune TV. Do have a swell evening. Bye-bye.